The deep state is simply the career government. It's the people who are in the same offices who outlive and outlast presidencies, right? They've seen Republicans, they've seen Democrats, they don't really care.
Wars are a result of lies.
By the military-industrial complex.
For financial gain, for oil.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Poor and working people in this country are sent to kill poor and working people in another country to make the rich richer.
They sold this lie for financial gain, for oil.
The unelected people and government organizations that outlast presidents, they've seen Republicans, they've seen Democrats, they don't really care. Because every single election is dominated by those two parties, and under both parties' leadership, the military-industrial complex thrives. Corrupt wars are fought and funded. There seems to be no limit to what the government can spend on overseas war, but when it comes to fixing problems here at home, the resources aren't there. You see, war is profitable for businesses in many industries, so these companies are incentivized to encourage war. It was this exact power that President Eisenhower was warning us about in his remarks about the military-industrial complex.
We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
The Republican Bush-Cheney administration gave billions in no-bid military contracts to the Halliburton Corporation during the Iraq War. And it just so happens that Vice President Cheney used to be the CEO of Halliburton and owned significant stock in the company. That stock more than doubled in value during the Iraq War.
The architects of that Iraq War sold it in the guise of, hey, Saddam Hussein is working with al-Qaeda, those terrorists who attacked us on 9/11, and he's going to give them his weapons of mass destruction, both of which turned out to be false intelligence and lies that were sold.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
They sold this lie for financial gain, for oil.
There is no doubt that he is amassing them to use them against our friends, against our allies, and against us.
The Iraq War is a result of lies.
Of course, the Democrats are heavily influenced by the military-industrial complex as well. Multiple Republican and Democrat administrations carried on the 20-year war in Afghanistan, and they all increased drone warfare, resulting in thousands of civilian deaths. It's clear both political parties are heavily influenced by the military-industrial complex. It's also clear both Republicans and Democrats have a history of restricting individual rights. Under the Obama administration, legislation called the NDAA 2012 was passed. It made it possible for U.S. citizens to be detained indefinitely without due process. The Bush administration passed the Patriot Act. This allowed law enforcement to raid a suspect's house without notifying them.
It was the same policy, Republican or Democrat, that supported wars like Korea and Vietnam and the CIA operations and the FBI. All these operations are endorsed by the other two parties. The control of overall policy is really in the hands of a very small number of people who control all the administrations, all the appointments to cabinets, and certainly all the appointments to the Federal Reserve.
So that shows we have a single-party political system in the United States, just maybe split in two a little bit.
So we do have one party. Their policies never change.
Both parties' policies restrict your freedoms. Both parties allow intelligence agencies to perform illegal classified programs. Both parties are supported by the military-industrial complex. Every election, 95% of voters choose what they believe to be the lesser of two evils. However, it's clear both parties are corrupt. we consider other options.
Wars are a result of lies.
They sold this lie for financial gain, for oil.
They've seen Republicans, they've seen Democrats, they don't really care.